The discipline of a choir should be as rigid as that of a military company. Miss Linda Towers.
In March of 1999, I spent a long weekend visiting Portland to see the place where our 20-year-old daughter Kate had been living for the past year. I immediately loved the city, the lifestyle, and my visit to First Unitarian Church on that Sunday. When I went back to Massachusetts, I told Greg, well, I'm moving to Portland. It's a really great city, it's a great church, and there's a wonderful choir at the Unitarian Church that I want to be part of. So we quit our jobs, sold our condo and our car, and moved to Portland in August. That first Sunday, we attended church and approached Mark to set up auditions. I had been singing first alto for years, but at my audition, Mark said, "Oh no, you're not a first alto. You're just a chicken second soprano." Well, I thought, some of those notes seem a little too high for me, but if Mark needs second sopranos in the choir, I'll just be a second soprano. Then we were in. And even though I may give an inward groan on Sunday mornings when Mark says, "I'm putting a little soprano descant for this hymn," it's been my joy and my spiritual practice to sing with this choir under Mark's direction. Thank you, Mark, for forcing us to move to Portland. Now, all choral directors have phrases that they use to help their choirs make mere musical notation into actual music. And Mark has passed down some of these phrases from his own mentors, such as, "A singer without a pencil is a singer without a brain." "Don't be a member of that great group of singers of breasts." Or, when it says piano, remember to sing loud on the inside, but soft on the outside. Probably don't recognize a lot of those. But Mark has very many unique and descriptive expressions that he uses to get across what he wants us to do. A few years ago, for a Manuka soiree, I put a collection of Mark's rehearsal quotes into a book with humorous illustrations. For his roast, I've updated the book with additional quotes. The book will be available at the party if you want to see the full version, but here are some excerpts. Mark once said, "You always have to have at least one good laugh at rehearsal," and these quotes made me laugh. "It sounds like the Swedish chef goes to Italy. Better learn those words." "Well, the basses ran amok here. Please ponder that section in your hearts while the altos rehearse." After a first service glitch, "Sopranos, I'm sorry about that. I forgot to cue you and I cued the tenors instead. But to their credit, the tenors ignored me and didn't come in." In the Sopranos. In this section, you want to make your misereres jauntier. My thoughts, jaunty misereres, have mercy, from the Latin root miser, meaning wretched. After much throat clearing, "Well, it's morning at Manuka, and it seems that the phlegm fairy has visited us all." And also related to phlegm, this directive, "Tenors, put a little spittle on the end of that note." When you see a big R.I.T. written in your score, remember that R.I.T. is Italian for what? Have you heard Tina Fey doing Sarah Palin? That's a lot of R's. You don't want to sound like that. After a first run through Mendelssohn's Lord, Hear My Prayer, great to be sight reading a really difficult place and then find that the words are perplexed and bewildered? Instead of just staring at all of those rests going by, you could be using that time to say a little prayer about your next entrance. I want this section to be mushy-washy legato. So legato that you can hardly stand it. It's sort of like you were swimming in jello. Well, we might not agree with the sentiment here, but it's in Latin, so we won't worry about it. This section is way too big. When you start out that loudly, then the only place to crescendo to is not a pretty place. Remember to sing remain instead of remain. It's always rim and di instead of re and d. That is, unless you're singing something like delouse. Well, that's not a very good example. We don't usually sing delouse very often. And here's a frequent pronunciation example from Mark. I love my relatives in Rochester, New York, but it's ba, not bye. And speaking of relatives, we can't forget Aunt Minnie from Salem. Oh my